The theory of evolution was formulated on the idea that all species originated from a common ancestor in the form of a primitive organism which arose from chemicals. Being under the impression that the cell was just a jelly-like substance and unaware of its true complexity, and viewing it as a black box, conclusions were drawn based on superficial observations and invalid extrapolations projected into a larger picture that existed only in one's imagination. What is the difference between microevolution and macroevolution? Microevolution, which is observable, refers to the formation of different species that evolved within the same kind, such as different breeds of dog which belong to the dog kind. Macroevolution, on the other hand, is the belief that these changes within the species can be extrapolated beyond the same kind without any limits, so that all the species we see today have evolved from the common ancestor which arose from chemical actions. Since macroevolution is not observable, then the only recourse for such an opinion lie in explanations that are subject to biases and imaginations to fill the gaps when evidence is lacking, as in the case of fossil records, and invalid extrapolations by inferring that if microevolution occurs, then it follows that macroevolution is also possible. The main method by which evolution occurs supposedly is through natural selection and mutations. Neither of them, as indicated briefly here and in more detail in the book, can cause macroevolution. Since the theory is based on the assumption that all occurrences in nature are attributable to some natural cause, then a natural explanation is essential for the events that precede evolution, namely something originating from nothing. That something, or inanimate matter, had to have the intelligence to create all the trillions of orbiting stars, and life arising from non-life, or else the theory is incomplete. These first three steps are the logical sequence of events that precede evolution and cannot be omitted, and then proceed to evolution, which is step 4. Trivial possibilities are irrelevant when viewed in the context of the larger picture. There is a tendency to debate on trivial possibilities such as vestigial organs which do not prove evolution, as they are subject to one's interpretation, but these are trivial and irrelevant as shown in the diagram. The diagram covers some of the topics in the book that disproves evolution. The two vertical lines are connected by many horizontal lines which represent various conditions, events, or evolutionary scenarios. Even if one of them is true, then evolution cannot be true, irrespective of the outcome of the other conditions. All the 9 events or evolutionary scenarios are covered in more detail in the book. Evolution Unravelled Defies Natural Laws, but briefly covered next. Continuing with the diagram, only one solid connection between the two vertical lines will render the theory invalid, as shall be proven with a few brief statements that all of them are true using reason, logic, and science, disproving all evolutionary scenarios. The first 3 events cannot be attributable to any natural cause or duplicated by natural means, and is represented by solid lines. Life from non-life can be disproved by science. The DNA is only the medium, just as the tape recorder is the medium. The information on the tape comes from a mind in the same way that the code from the DNA originates from a mind. Random mutations cannot write the code, as randomness has no mind. Natural selection does not produce any new biological traits within a species, but can only select from biological traits already present that provide a survival benefit, and therefore cannot create new species, as new genetic information is necessary for the creation of new species. Reptiles with wings would be at a disadvantaged condition and eliminated by natural selection. Reptile and bird physiology are different, such as bird and reptilian lungs. Scales are folds of skin, but feathers are structures that originate inside the skin like hair. The giraffe's long neck is not due to a survival benefit of being able to reach a few extra top leaves, as the females that are about a meter shorter than the males and the young giraffes would perish. The diagram continued. The honeybee's instinct to build perfect hexagonal cells could not have developed gradually, which would be mathematically impossible, as all the cells would have to be the same diameter and the centers of each adjacent cell would have to be 1.732 multiplied by the radius, or perfect hexagons would not form. Some bees could not build a more hexagonal cell to result in a survival benefit, ruling out gradual evolution. Nylon-eating bacteria did not mutate to acquire new genetic information, but only altered existing genetic information to produce a new function, nylon-eating capability. This is an example of adaptation. Mutations do not create new species, as they can only cause loss of or altered information. This example cannot be interpreted as an instance of molecules to man evolution. Reference Dr. Giorgio Purdom in AnswersInGenesis.org. From the foregoing analysis, all the lines should now be solid.